good evening. If we could all please rise, and the Honorable Council Member Brandon McCullough will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening and welcome to the November 22nd, 2021 study session of the Livonia City Council. This meeting sets the agenda for the 1,934th regular meeting, a voting meeting that will take place on Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. We have all members of the council with us this evening. I do not have any announcements to make. Does anyone else on the council have any announcements to make? At this time, we go to the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to communicate with the council on any item not in this evening's agenda, now is an opportunity to do so. Seeing none, we will proceed with our agenda. This evening's meeting is a study meeting. There will be no votes taken this evening at this meeting. However, council members will offer either one resolution or a combination of resolutions for each item. Resolutions offered may include an approving, denying, or referring resolution to a committee or city department for its report and recommendation. If a resolution of no further action may also be offered. There are some items that will simply be received and placed on the file for the information of the City Council. Please note that most of the items on this evening's agenda will move on to the regular meeting of Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, where they will officially be voted on. Due to the number of items on this evening's agenda that require resolutions from the Law Department, we will be looking to identify some items that will be moved on to the regular meeting agenda of Monday, December 13th, instead of Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. If you would like to participate in any of the agenda items that are taken up this evening, please approach one of the podiums on either side of the room when the item is called, and you'll be recognized at the appropriate time. Generally, the petitioner, whether that is a city or a private entity, will make the initial presentation followed by remarks from those in the audience who wish to speak. So please come to the podium when the item is called. And when you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record so that your remarks may be properly attributed to you in the minutes for the meeting. It will also let the council and those watching at home know who is speaking to them. And with that, we move along with new business. Item number 1 is a request for designation as a nonprofit organization. This item comes to us from Chief Curtis Cade, who is the president of the Livonia First Responder Foundation, is required by the state of Michigan to obtain a charitable gaming license to allow a raffle fundraiser in the future. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Madam President, members of council. Before I get started with this brief presentation, I'd just like to take a moment and thank all of you, especially Councilperson White, for your service, and as you move on, and congratulate incoming President Jim Jolly and Vice President Laura Toy, and congratulations as well to Councilman Donovan and upcoming Councilman, I guess, Scott Morgan, and to you, Madam President and Vice President, thank you for your leadership over the years and your commitment to the city, just both on a professional and personal note. So thank you very much. This item before you is, as you indicated, a request for your designation, council's designation, local, according to the gaming board, local government designation of a 501c3 charitable organization. That recognition will allow us, the Livonia First Responder Foundation, to conduct fundraising efforts, whether they're raffles, et cetera, with that license. Up to this point, we had our first raffle, you may remember. We started about a year ago, a little bit less, and we had the drawing over at Hazel Park, and that was for a motorcycle that was donated to the foundation. That was our seed money to get the foundation up and running. Very briefly, this foundation was created through a number of very interested and supportive individuals. I sit as the president. The vice president is our fire chief, Dave Hevner. Our secretary is and our attorney, Brandon Grisco. Treasurer is Dan West. Steve Seattle from Roush Industries. Chuck Dardis from Alpha USA. Veronica Cruz from Alpha USA. Linda Hazel and Antoinette Johnston, both surviving spouses of fallen Livonia police officers. So we've got a very dynamic board that is committed to supporting this community through these charitable events and our first responders and their families. So once again, this is a request for your designation in this matter. I believe the form should be part of your packet that is, that we will end up submitting to the state of Michigan for future consideration.
Councilmember Donovan?
Thank you, Madam President. First, congratulations to you, Chief. You had a phenomenal ceremony a few days ago, a lot of great food and a lot of great
That's what
people
I
up there.
hear.
Yeah. I know you were busy up on stage. Everybody was talking so highly of you, and it was pretty impressive to see so many achieved individuals up there talking so good about you. You must have paid them a lot of money. But no, congratulations, sir. You've done great work for the community, and this is just another indication of what you have been dedicated to for so long, to the first responders of our community, leading them for a very long time, being a mentor to many of them. So I'm super excited about this organization, and I heard rumors about it way back in the day, and then to see it come to light and already impacting the lives of first responders and their families in such a short period of time, especially going through COVID and the uncertainties of just what's going on. And it's awesome to see different people come together to make this all possible. So if it is okay, I'd love to offer an approving on consent if there's no objection from my colleagues. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Madam President.
Any objections? Councilmember Jolly?
No objection. I just want to congratulate the chief again and wish him well. And
Thank you.
we promised that we would try and cause some problems to keep him busy at MMRMA. So we'll see what we can do.
I appreciate that.
Councilmember Toy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may, to the chief. Chief, thank you for all your many, many, many years of service and just outstanding. Your insights and your forward thinking has really placed our department as one of the if not the #1 department, I'm sure, in the state and certainly among the country. And it's because of your leadership and all that you've done for us and all of us in our community. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for all you've done, and you're going to be very sorely, sorely missed.
Thank you very much. I
Yes,
appreciate that.
Anyone else? All right, well, Chief, you have approving on consent, so you don't need to come back and see us on the 1st. You're always welcome. You may be back one more time, but hard to believe we're not going to be seeing you anymore representing the police department. We've enjoyed and learned a lot every time you've come before us, but we know we're all happy for you in the next chapter of your life, and we know that Captain Acting Chief Goralski is going to be ready to go. He's a wonderful, wonderful individual, a great police officer, great leader, and he's really grown up in this department with all of the things that you put in place and your predecessors. So
Thank you.
we will miss you, but we look forward to welcoming Tom.
Thank you very much.
Madam President, is that going to be for the first meeting in December or the second meeting?
Is this a critical, can you wait until the 13th?
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for that reminder, I was supposed to do that. All right, so you don't need to come back on either day, but again, you're always welcome.
Could I get 30 more seconds for a plug?
Please.
For the foundation, if there's anyone interested in making contributions, we use the credit union at 8 in Farmington, Michigan Schools Government Credit Union. You can stop in there and indicate to the clerk that you'd like to make a contribution to the foundation, and they have that all set up. We'll be holding another raffle later on this year, and there'll be more to follow with that. Could always use the support. We had our first disbursement of a young lad that is fighting a very serious illness, and we were able to pay him a visit and help out the family a little bit with their plight. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, Council.
Thank you,
President.
Chief.
Real quick.
Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that myself and Councilman McCullough were donating $50, I believe, each to the foundation. Participate in No Shave November. So I know you can't really see it, but it's coming in.
I think he
In a
needs
few
to
weeks
donate
now.
double to that.
Yeah. He's had a couple years advantage on me. He's an old man, 40, I think. So, but just want to do that little plug because I know the Livonia police officers and are participating in No Shave November and donating money. It's awesome to see so many people coming together for that. And I was hoping Chief K would have a beard today, but I guess not. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. All right, item number 2 is the determination of the Local Officers Compensation Commission. This comes to us from the Office of the City Clerk for the salaries of the elected officials for the calendar years 2022 and 2023, in accordance with section 2.48.030 of chapter 2.48 of the Livonia Code of Ordinances is amended. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam President. The Local Officers Compensation Commission met on November 9th on the third floor. I know you were present, so was the mayor. We had a few other members, myself. The treasurer, Linda Shield, and the observer was there, as well as 6 of the 7 members. And as you were in your packets, they discussed all the salaries for the elected officials for the city of Livonia. And they also brought up hero pay for the elected officials, and I believe they have it all done under separate resolutions that can be looked at individually.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember John.
to get us started here, I will offer approving resolutions for the suggested compensation rates for the mayor, the clerk, and the treasurer. And I'll offer those for consent if there are no objections at this time.
All right, so,
If I might, under our ordinance, you don't need to do anything for them to take effect.
Right.
They take effect automatically after 30
Right.
days, after the clerk has filed them. The only thing council does is if council rejects something, then you would have to have a resolution rejecting a
Rejecting it.
portion. And I just wanted to make that correction.
Councilmember Jolly.
I'll withdraw my motions then.
All right. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. So then, through the chair to Mr. Bernier, City Attorney, with that being said, I don't have a issue with increases for elected officials. They're a few $100s. What I do not support is hero pay for individual elected officials. So is there something that I could do to offer a denying on just a specific hero pay for elected officials?
It was specifically broken down at the compensation meeting at the suggestion of the council president that we break down a difference between the pay structure, the percentage raises for all the elected officials, and the hero pay. So there would be separate issues. They're all separate, in other words. So there's council president, treasurer, clerk, and mayor's salary adjustments, and then there are hero pays for all 5 of them. So if you wanted to reject something, just using as an example, and not suggesting it should be done, if council wanted to reject the hero pay for themselves, the resolution would be to reject the hero pay as to council. And then that would be the vote.
So, manager.
I know, I'd like to offer a resolution then, or motion rather, to deny hero pay for city council members.
All right, we have a resolution offered to deny hero pay for city council. Councilmember Toy,
I have no,
That'd be council president also, or just city council, because they were separate.
please.
I'd like to
may I-
amend-
I would like to ask the maker of the council member who offered the resolution to please include the city council president.
Yes, my motion, I'd like to amend that to include all members of council, including the council president, and I look forward to having a second.
No, we don't need a second, we're at study.
right. Madam Chair, I have no
Yes.
problem with that motion. I do believe, though, that the clerk and the treasurer were here, as well as the mayor, were here, on duty. And I think that was very important, particularly because we had an election going on for some of that time as well as their other duties of the monies and the financing of the city, as well as birth and death certificates and official record keeping that the clerk does. So I have no problem with them receiving that pay. I also, and of course, the mayor and her role and her duties. I guess it would be, if we vote this down and there's 7 of us, and if my math's correct, that leaves some money. It would be interesting to take that money that was set aside for the council in a hero pay and maybe donate it to a family that had maybe a loved one or someone that has had some kind of issue, and I don't know how you find that out, so maybe it's a little stretch, but I don't know. I'd almost like to see that we could do something possibly with those dollars if we're not gonna take them, which I don't think is appropriate, at least from my standpoint. But I also think that rather than leave it in a budget for somebody else to spend somewhere in this city, not that they don't do a good job, but that it would behoove the council to kind of designate those dollars to something worthwhile. Not sure what that would be, just a suggestion. Thank you.
I don't believe that we have any authority or vehicle for doing that. We're acting on a recommendation of the LOCC, and it is strictly whether we accept their recommendations or whether we don't. So the only way to do, and this is not, and we discussed this, I think, at length, these are not dollars out of the city general fund, correct? These are American Rescue dollars.
Right.
The only way to do that, I believe, Councilmember Toy, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, would be for the council to accept, each one of us to accept, or for council, for the 6 members of the council and the president, to accept the hero pay and then to don't turn around and donate the hero pay.
Okay. Just an idea.
No, I appreciate
Yes.
the thought.
I appreciate you correcting me on that. Thank
No,
you.
it's not correcting, just stating that we don't have a vehicle right in front of us for being able to do that.
Perfect,
We're
thank
only
you.
able to act on the LOCC recommendations. Any other discussion? Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to be on record, I definitely agree with my colleagues about council not getting the $500 stipend. I don't think it's warranted. We were, virtual, and I know that there was a note in there about how we have elected to volunteer at some of the clinics for vaccinations. That was purely volunteer-based, and that was something that we did off. I think the administration had everything set up. We were virtual, and even if we had to come in. So I just want to be on record to state that I'm happy that Councilman Donovan did offer a denying on the 500. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Barr.
Yeah, excuse me. There's a reason I'm not talking too much tonight. I'm fine. I just have this cough that's hanging on. I think it's important for council to note as we think about this, and I also would concur with Councilman Donovan's comments. I believe the only reason that the commission felt a need to recommend this is because we had taken the action of offering it to our employees. And I made it very clear at the time what my feeling on that was. I just think we have, I'll just leave it at this. The only reason it was offered to any of the elected officials is because we had done that, and they felt it was fair then to do it to the elected officials. And while I appreciate the work of the commission, and I appreciate the sentiment, as an elected official, knowing how many people lost their jobs during this pandemic, knowing how many people would have loved to have been working during this pandemic, to be honest, I'm embarrassed by the notion of taking this hero pay as an elected official. So I definitely would join Councilman Donovan as saying, well, again, appreciate the sentiment, but I definitely don't think it's necessary, and I'm glad that we've got a denying on the table. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to offer comment if no one else has any. One of the other things that was done in the LOCC, and I attended because I think it's important to understand what the LOCC is doing and what they're thinking, and they have a difficult job. I don't think it's easy to sit in front of people and talk about what you think they should be paid or not paid. But one of the reasons I had for attending was the council president has traditionally been at a differential, I don't know how far this goes back, of about 6.5% from the rest of the council. And after my initial term of being president, it was the first time I had been on council, and I certainly didn't have a full appreciation for everything that the job entailed. It wasn't during a pandemic. And, but after the second time, really having a much better feel for the job and understanding what the expectations of the job are and what the job requires if you do it as I think it's intended that it be done, I did recommend that the pay differential between the council and the president be 10%. And so that resulted in the council had I can't remember what the percentage increase was, but it was a larger percentage for the president. And so my intention was going forward, and as I pointed out to the commission, I am no longer the president after December 31st, and I cannot run again, so in no way is this feathering my own nest, but I thought it was important, certainly knowing that Mr. Jolly's coming into the job and the way he'll do the job, and I would expect every future council president will do the job. I thought it was important that position be, that the differential in the work be recognized and codified, so,
Madam Chair.
yes.
After being president of this council on numerous occasions, 3 to be exact, you're absolutely right. It's long overdue. You have faced a lot of exceptional situations as a president of this council in the last couple years, and you've done it with the best of your ability and with the city in mind, and we appreciate that, and I think I can speak for all of us on that. But it is long overdue. The president does do a lot of extra work. The office can be a little bit challenging at times, not that the people are, but just the whole process thereof. But I want to thank you as well for all you've done for us these last couple of years. We really, I appreciate that, and I know what that's like to sit in that chair and do that gavel. It looks real easy, but there are times it's not exactly the easiest job in the world.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy.
Thank you. You're welcome. You can pay me later.
I will. It's a team effort, and the one other thanks that I want to give is to Sarah Kasperich, who, Sarah came into the job, I've lost track, how long ago? A year and a half, about. And Judy was phenomenal. Judy Preby was long-standing Director of Legislative Affairs, and Judy was my lifeline and my Sherpa and everything else during my first term. And when someone who is so much a resource to everyone leaves, I think you always think we're never going to be able to find our way. And the nice thing is, when the city does a great job recruiting and hiring people, when you lose one phenomenal person, you turn around and then somehow, right, you have a new phenomenal person. And I know that the council and President Jolly are going to be very, very well served. And just one final note, we talked in the LOCC about, especially for the council, no one does these jobs for money. And one of the things that I think people are going to have to be cognizant of going forward is, as the Observer, Shelby did, Ms. Tankersley did an article on this, and we've all seen it. Certainly not in our city to the extent of some other places, but the hate that elected officials are sometimes subject to, we're seeing it at school boards, we're seeing it everywhere. I think, in my opinion, it's going to be harder and harder to get people to step up to do these jobs. I mean, as I said to the LOCC, if you wanted to pay council $100,000 a year, I can guarantee you'd have a primary every year. But you don't do it. That's not the motivation for doing these jobs. And I just think it's something to be cognizant of as a city and as a community, and really as a citizen, as you look at people and you expect them to step up and serve as elected officials. And I wouldn't trade this experience, I don't think any of my colleagues would, for anything in the world. But they're changing times, so thank you. Thank you for the indulgence on that subject. All right, so we have, without any action as stated, everything else will move forward. The only exception is we are offering a denying resolution for the recommendation, or a denial of the recommendation of the LOCC for the hero pay for the city council members and the president. All right, item number 3 is a request to approve loyalty pay stipend and recognition. This comes to us from the Department of Civil Service, loyalty pay for temporary part-time employees and recognition for CERT. Good evening, Ms. Mayor.
Good evening, Madam President, council members, nice to see everyone. Nice segue for my item, thank you. I am back before you at the request of the administration and the support of the Civil Service Commission, looking for a loyalty pay stipend for part-time temporary employees. In addition, a recognition gift, if you will, for the Community Emergency Response Team, better known as CERT, for the work that they did during the vaccination clinic that was held over at the Senior Center, where over 18,000 vaccinations were administered to city residents. The loyalty pay for the temporary part-time employees is a $500 stipend for any current part-time employee that worked at least 500 hours from April 2020 through March of 2021. And this includes employees that are part of our Livonia Transit bus drivers and dispatchers who transport our seniors and disabled to doctor's appointments, to the grocery store. And they kept these services going throughout the pandemic, and they were creative on their buses as to how they would keep everybody safe, and they really stepped up at a difficult time. It also includes Livonia Police Reserve officers who serve as security here in City Hall, 16 District Court Probation Work Program supervisors who coordinate probationers serving the community, and several other classifications. This was approved at the last a special Civil Service Commission meeting on November 4th, and we move it to the council in the hopes that you'll support it as well.
Councilmember Toy.
I'll ask for an approving on consent. Thank you to you and the administration for considering that. I know there was a lot of concern about it.
Yes,
Appreciate it, and they did an excellent job, obviously.
they really did.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam
Are you
President.
offering that? Did you say consent?
Yes, please.
All right. That will be on consent. Thank you, and,
Thank you.
Madam President, if you don't mind,
Oh.
going back to item number 2, I think that one has to be on the first one.
It
Because
does.
we have the 30-day period
does.
of time.
It does.
So I just want
I-
to clarify.
thank you
because
for reminding
Because we have to
me.
get it on the agenda.
thank you. I have a note to myself. This one, is it, Denise, would it be okay if we approve this on the 13th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so this will be on the regular, on consent.
Okay,
All
wonderful.
right?
Thank you.
You don't need to come back, but you're welcome, especially
I'll
as
probably be
your number of meetings kind of are waning, but we're going to miss you a
Thank you so
lot too,
much.
and thank you for the
That
outstanding work.
feeling's
and-
mutual. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 4 is a request to enter into an agreement between Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the City of Livonia, Department of Parks and Recreation for installation of a senior program at Ben Chilani Park with additional monies contributed by Healthy Livonia. Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President and council members. We are here tonight with a request for an agreement to enter with MEDC, or the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They would match the $100,000 that is coming from Healthy Livonia, and then our city additional $50,000 would be the rest of the matching funds. This is for what sometimes is referred to as a senior playground, or otherwise known as a fitness area, because fitness can be fun too. So this would go in the Ben Chilani play area in the southeast corner of the Bicentennial Park.
Yes, Councilmember Toy.
Is this the money that was donated or going to be donated or something? Is that coming out of that pot of money?
So we're developing that whole Ben Chilani area, and this senior playground or the senior fitness component is one piece of it. We will be issuing bids for the universal playground within the next couple weeks.
So the bars are a little lower and that kind of stuff, right?
This is more of a fitness base, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't trying to be
Adult-friendly.
insulting, but, I am a senior, so, I gotta make sure we're doing this. Cool. So I'm not gonna say any more because this is Jim's baby. I'm gonna,
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Jolly.
I just want to go on the record and say that I'll be happy to take Ms. Toy out there anytime she wants. Thank you very much.
I do have a, if no one else has anything, I do have a
Thanks, Doug.
question. And I'm wondering if I missed something. So have we renamed part of McNamara Park as Ben Chilani Park?
This has been named this. I don't know the exact year, but it has been for some time, I believe, over 15 years.
Okay,
It's in the ordinance that way.
thank you.
Yeah, just that southeast corner, there is a sign that you can see off 7 Mile regarding that name.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that was on consent?
am I making the motion?
Oh, I thought you did,
wanna-
I'm sorry.
I thought she did as well,
Oh.
but If she did not, I'll offer an approving
Yeah,
for
let-
consent. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll place that on consent, and is this something that we need to get moving on, Michelle? Should this be on, does this need to be on the,
I believe it can wait.
okay, all right, so we can place that on the regular agenda of December 13th. Thank you. All right, number 5 is an award of contract. This comes from the Department of Parks and Recreation to provide senior memberships at the Jackie Kirksey Recreation Center to eligible participants in our senior community.
Thank you again. It is our recommendation to, and Parks and Recreation Commission recommendation to enter into a contract with PureFit. This is a similar program to the Silver Sneakers, in which you are eligible based on your insurance. The compensation for the program is a little bit different than the Silver Sneakers. If one member comes just one time a month, then we are compensated $26.95 for that one visit. Silver Sneakers has a combination per visit or max, and this is, if you come one time, we receive that in compensation, which is higher than our regular membership. So this would be an advantageous membership option for us.
Great.
So it's cheaper? Is it cheaper, Madam Chair?
It's a higher reimbursement to us, correct?
Yes.
So it's more beneficial. We don't have exposure as we can potentially with Silver Speakers. Is that correct way to put it, Scott?
Correct. We, for Silver Sneakers, if somebody only comes one time, then we just get money for that one visit at a
Yep.
much smaller rate. If they come a maximum time, then we get a maximum amount. So this is one time or more, we get the same rate.
At a higher rate, right?
And there is a demand. Once we started Silver Sneakers, we've had many community members ask for this program.
Approving on consent then.
Okay, all right, we'll put that on consent, and this, I'm assuming we'd like to go ahead and get this going, so we'll put this on the December 1st meeting?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you. Good night.
Item number 6 is request for authorization to purchase 4 Exmark Laser S-Series 749 mowers through the State of Michigan bid process. This comes to us from the Public Service Division to replace comparable units that have exceeded their life expectancy from budgeted funds. Good evening, Mr. Moore.
Good evening, Council. Doug Moore with Department of Public Works. The first item I have tonight is the 4 zero-turn mowers. They're 60-inch decks, gas-powered, used by the mowing crews in the park. We're purchasing them through Sourcewell. It's one of the bid discounts that's available for us. The servicing dealer is going to be Weingart's down on Plymouth Road. The mowers that are being replaced will be auctioned off or sent to auction. The mowers are, each mower is $10,799 for a total purchase price of $43,196.
Madam President,
Councilmember Jolly.
I'd like to offer an approving for consent. Thank you.
All right, I see no objections, so we'll place that on consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, request to authorize,
For the first or second?
oh, I'm sorry. Would we like to move ahead with this quickly?
And go to the second one. That's fine.
All right, the 13th.
Yeah.
Next meeting's the 13th, right?
No, the next meeting is the 1st. Right? Okay. I'm sorry, Paul, I keep looking at my note that says 1st or 2nd. and I
That's
just
okay.
keep-
It's so out of the ordinary, and I apologize for interrupting, but we have to be able to get it done for that agenda.
Yes, so that can go on the 13th. Wait, did you, I'm so confused.
Yes, he said 13th.
Yes.
That can go on the 13th. Okay.
I messed it up, sorry.
Item number 7, request to authorize appropriation expenditure. This too comes from the Department of Public Works for emergency repair and restoration of underground electrical service to Fire Station Number 1 headquarters from budgeted funds.
So back on August 25th, on August 25th, our city electrician responded to a power problem at LFD headquarters. He found an area of turf near the building that was smoking and burning. The building was running on about half power. The lines are buried and are the responsibility of the city. DTE was called and responded later in the day. It was found that one of the 2 service lines to the building had failed. Both lines were original to the construction of the original building. RCI, the city's contractor for electrical services, was called. The repair was made as an emergency repair because of the building only able to run on half power. The building ran on half power while RCI gathered the parts for the repair, and it was completed shortly after Labor Day. The repair consisted of a new conduit and electrical service lines. The department is asking council to approve the emergency repair that RCI made. The cost for that was $85,740. It was paid for out of the building maintenance contracted services account in the departmental budget.
Madam President.
Jolly?
Mr. Moore, can you, just because I don't recall anything like this coming before us, is this a typical cost that you would expect for such work to be done? Or is there a factor of the emergency kind of put into this as well? I think just initially, not knowing that, looking at this, I know that when houses have buried lines, the cost is not anywhere near $85,000. Can you kind of just give us some detail as to why that might be so much more? Obviously, it's a commercial type building, it's probably receiving more energy, but 85,000 is a lot, not knowing exactly what we're looking at.
RCI is our electrical contractor that's under contract, so when we have large-scale issues, we call them to come in. They did have to directional bore a new line, a new sleeve, and the new service line to go through it. To say, I mean, it wasn't, we couldn't go out for bids on this because we had to get it fixed. The station was running on half power, and it was not a very good long-term solution. So to say that they overcharge us, I don't know, but I do know that when we call RCI and they have these instances, they respond quickly and take care of it for us. We've had issues with the lights here in the complex since about January of 2020, and they've come in and done the work, and those costs are in line with this.
So if I may continue here, listen, the work is done, and I understand that at this point. How long, do you have any idea how long they were out there to complete this job and how many, I mean, it lists 371 hours at $75 an hour for almost $28,000 in labor alone.
Right.
I mean, how long were they out there until they were able to restore the full?
I don't know. It was running on half power. I don't know how long they were out there to get it back to full power.
Okay. Listen, I want to offer an approving at this point, but I'm going to offer it for consent. If you could provide a little bit more information in regards to this, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know what I'm looking at here, but $85,000 seems like a lot without those additional details. I mean, the hours alone, 371, I mean, what's that? That's like 10 days of labor, right? 8 hours
Yeah,
a
I
day.
don't know how many people were on the crew either.
Okay,
It's possible. They would have had more to do the manual labor kind of stuff with the machine coming in and drilling the line in.
okay.
Did you mean to say, Mr. Jolly, that you wanted it on the regular?
I did, I'm sorry if I
Okay.
misspoke, regular.
Do you have anything else? Because I was going to go to
Nothing else,
Councilmember
ma'am.
McCullough and then Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. Through the chair to Mr. Moore, I guess, do we go out to bid on the electrical service contract? Is it like a 3-year?
Yes, I don't know how long the contract is, but it is a multi-year contract.
Is that possible to add to gain that current contract just sent to the packet for the regular? The only reason I say that is, when you look at the invoice, the materials provided, there's no breakdown, there's no time or date receipts, and I think going to my colleague, Mr. Jolly, usually you get a breakdown, there's a material markup and a percentage, and all these dots should kind of dot themselves and cross the Ts on this, and it's just very vague. Obviously, there's overhead and profits on materials. That's pretty straightforward, but the materials and the labor, it would be usually recommended that you would have time, date forms and a much more thorough breakdown on the materials of $50,000 rather than quantity one. I'm not refuting, materials right now, when you deal with the copper lines on some of these main feeds, it's gonna be up there. But at least going forward, it might be an opportunity to spiff up that electrical services contract to leverage some better pricing overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McCullough. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, through the chair to Mr. Moore. I'm not disputing anything. I know you're just doing your job, but you're looking at this and you talk about spending $85,000 on electrical work, and I'm not an electrician. I just know that I want to make sure that when we're spending taxpayer dollars, we're doing it in a mindful way. And you talk about $27,000 in labor and $50,000 in material. Those numbers are pretty big. So to my colleague's point, I just want to make sure that we have all the details. How long of a run was this? Was it 30 feet of wire? Was it 100 foot of wire? Just some more information, because it's kind of vague what we have. So when somebody asks me why we spent $85,000 in electrician, I'd like to just be able to provide them information.
Okay.
So thank you for your due diligence. I appreciate it. And thanks, Mr. Moore. Thank you, Madam President.
Math's not my strong point, so taking the 371, dividing that by 8, it gives you 46 and change 8-hour days of work for this. If it was an emergency, I find it difficult that they would have had that many people out there for that many hours and that many days to charge us that kind of
I don't know how many
hourly
people
rate.
they had out there. It's possible they had 4 or 5 to get especially when they're doing the directional drilling, that kind of thing.
That would still be 10 days, though. So we need some context for this, so
Right.
thank you, sir.
All right, so we have that on the regular with some additional information requested. Doug?
Which one?
The first or
The 1st or the 13th?
Oh,
I'm keeping track right now. We have 4 on the second and 2 on the first. So whichever is, we're trying to even off, whichever one the council wants is great with us.
well, I would think that we'd want to get this on
I would
the
too.
first meeting.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you, the same to you, Doug.
You too.
Item number 8, request to accept a grant from the Detroit Edison Company, DTE. This comes just from the Engineering Division regarding a 2021 LED retrofit of mercury vapor streetlights throughout the city for a total cost of $376,550, with the city's contribution to be $288,800 from the unexpended fund balance of the Special Assessment Street Lighting Fund. Mr. Zalinsik.
Good evening, Madam President and City Council members. Sticking on the electrical theme tonight, we'll continue on with something that we all enjoy, and that's getting the LED retrofits out there in the city. As you know, we've done this in the past several times. It's been a couple of years since we've done this, but I think this is the last stroke of getting the big mercury vapor lights, 175 watters out there. So we're looking for your assistance to basically replace, it would be, again, 1,570 lights, of which I believe 217 are fed overhead, and just over 1,340 from underground, where DT would come out next year to do that. We're asking, again, your approval after, in the amount of, of $288,800, of which we'll get a rebate from, the EAO rebate from DT in the amount of $23,690. So the total cost would be $265,110. So basically about $168 a light to replace these. The payback period will be 1.23 years. It'll reduce the emissions for the lights. Again, it'll help save cost. The big thing, I think, is the savings of cost, about $215,000 per year that we'll see. So I just wanted to, again, applaud DT's involvement for us to, again, do these retrofits, and hopefully this is probably the biggest one we have left. The rest are kind of minuscule, but if we want to attack them again, we can come back to City Council and do those. But I don't think the energy savings will be there, but there's always the opportunity in the future. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. But thank you for your help in getting the approval for the LED retrofits as we continue on with the city's
You are welcome. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd be happy to now offer an approving for consent. I must say, a return on investment of 1.23 years and our commitment to sustainability Not only that, everything you touched on, but even the maintenance. These LED lights usually last from 10 to potentially 15 years until they start strobing, and then those are on warranty. But this is a great thing. I know our Sustainability Commission will absolutely love to see this, and we have the Michigan Municipal Green Communities Challenge that we could add this as a
Very nice.
topic of discussion for. So awesome work. 1.23, you can't beat that.
Very nice. I assume that we would like that to be on the next meeting. so
December 1st, if we could,
yes.
please. Thank you very much.
All right, December 1st meeting. Thank you, Mr. Zalinsik, for that. I do have one very quick question on that. The light in front of my house, there's a little covering plate that has fallen off.
Just give me the information. We'll be happy to input that for DT to come out and fix the shield if it's falling off.
That's what you call it, the shield?
The shield, yeah. If it's probably bolts loose or fell out, but
I
we'll
don't
be
know,
happy.
but there was no tampering by the homeowners, I know that, so I was a little bit nervous about calling. Anyway,
We'll be happy to take care of that for you, Madam President.
thank you. Item number 9, request to amend the engineering contract through the qualification bid selection QBS process with OHM Advisors for design engineering services for the 2022 Asphalt Road Program Contract 22-A Engineering Division regarding the same Council Resolution 365-16.
As you just approved the 2022 road program, we appreciate your assistance again in improving our infrastructure throughout the city. We use OHM Advisors. They've been with us since day one on the millage since 2002. We have Rhett Groenvelt, the principal from OHM Advisors, in the audience to help represent the company. But as you know, they've been a staple in making sure that we do replace those asphalt roads. Been involved with the concrete previously, but looking at $3.8 million worth of improvements in 2022. Asking for your assistance for the design portion in the amount of $163,400 based on the QBS contract, and that's based on that $3.8 million for construction. Again, we'll take this to you in the spring of 2022 for the final contract amount. We're looking for your assistance for that approval on design. Again, myself or Rhett's here in the audience to ask any questions if you may have them, but this has been a working formula. It's been great for the last 20 years, and look forward to, again, continuing the last year of the millage and hopefully renew it in 2022. Thank you.
Councilmember White.
Happy to offer approving for consent if there's no objection.
I see no objections, so we'll place that on consent. And do we need to get that done on December 1st, Mr. Zalinsik?
That would be great if we can get that, so I can get the contract signed and executed, so they can get their design and get the information to City Council.
I have to add this, but I can't believe that Mr. Zalinsik will ever say it's not an emergency.
Time sensitive, not emergency time.
All right, item number 10, request to amend the engineering contract through the, and before I move on, I'd just like to say, as I often acknowledge, that we appreciate that even our, the companies that we do a lot of business with, they send their senior people here in the event that we have questions to be available to us, and it's appreciated. And it makes us feel that our business is not taken for granted, and we appreciate that. And I see Mr. Groeneveld back there. Item number 10, request to amend the engineering contract through the qualification-based selection, QBS process with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick Incorporated, AEW, for design engineering services for the 2022 Concrete Road Program Contract 22-C Engineering Division regarding the same. Council Resolution 365-16. Mr. Zalinsik.
Again, this is the contract portion of it. It involves $5 million. We have Ross Wilberding here from AEW. Unfortunately, Scott Lockwood was not able to attend since he's out of town, but he sent his best replacement here. Ross has been with the program several years, project manager, does an excellent job with us to make sure those concrete streets are replaced. We're looking for your assistance to approve AEW's contract in the amount of $215,000, again, for the design, and then looking for construction in 2022 for the $5 million worth of concrete reconstruct streets with a portion of a little bit of miscellaneous maintenance with those. If any further questions, I'd be happy to answer those, or Ross is here too for assistance. Thank you.
Council,
Approving?
you'd like to
On
offer that for
consent.
approving for consent?
Yeah, in December, whatever.
Seeing no objections.
December 1st, please.
All right, item number 11, request to amend the engineering contract through the qualification bid base selection QBS process with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick Incorporated for design engineering services for the 2022 concrete road maintenance / selective slab program, contract 22-J, engineering division for the same, council resolution 365-16. Mr. Zalinsik.
Again, AW is with our partner here tonight for the design portion. We're asking city council's approval to have them as part of the QBS contract do that design. Previously, DPW and engineering has identified about 25 miscellaneous locations, along with several streets that will have the maintenance streets completed. We're asking for your approval in the amount of $42,400 for the 22J program. Again, as we talked about before at the road meeting, there's basically 11 locations that will be removed from the overall list that we've created to put on the 22J miscellaneous location. So it's a good trade to get those streets that were identified reduced further. So we have about 75, I believe, locations left. And if we chip away 25 a year, 3 years, we should be hopefully done with those, and there obviously new ones pop up. But looking for their assistance to do that for you guys and the city for continue on. This will be I believe the 4th year we've done the 22J contract and over $800,000 a year. Thank you.
Thank you, council. Hello?
I'll offer approving and consent. There's no objection.
All right, I see no objections. Mr. Zalinsik, I'm taking a guess here that you'd like it on the 1st.
Third time's a charm if I can on December 1st. Paul's cramping up over there, I see.
All right. Mr. Zalinsik, you never disappoint. All right, number 12, waiver petition. This comes from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-09-02-19 submitted by Livonia Gasmart, requesting construction to construct an addition and remodel the interior and exterior of the existing gas station Mobile at 31301 Plymouth Road, located on the southeast corner of Plymouth and Merriman Roads in the northwest quarter of Section 35. Mr. Taormina.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a request to renovate the gas station that has been at the southeast corner of Plymouth and Merriman Road since the 1950s. So this is the first major renovation to this structure in over 60 years. They are proposing to convert the existing service bays, which are on the east side of the gas station, to a convenience mart within the existing building, and then the addition on the south side would be for servicing vehicles. Currently, most of the space is used as a service center. That would be reduced in size, but would still be a provided service with the construction of that addition. It's about 1,000 square feet, again, on the south side, where they have room available on the property. In fact, there's additional green space on the south side of the property. Parking is being met on this site. A new dumpster is being added to the southeast corner. The exterior of the building is being completely renovated with brick to match the existing brick. And Planning Commission is recommending approval of the petition. The only issue is they would like to see a landscape plan submitted within 60 days of council's action on this item.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Council President and all members.
Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Council, questions? Councilmember Toy.
Thank you. Are you the original owners?
No, I'm the office manager for the
Okay.
business.
And you repair cars there as well, right?
Yeah, we do mechanic and oil change.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, I thought so.
And we will continue to do so.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. Well, you
We're
do,
just trying to make it more pretty and
Oh, yeah.
easier for, to serve the community and make it more convenient for the community and for our senior citizens.
you do a nice job.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you do for that part of our community as well.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask for an approving resolution, Madam Chair. After 60 years, this building looks a little tired and needs some help, so, and if she's willing to spend her money, why not, right? Thank you. Thank you for investing in our
Thank you.
community. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. To Mr. Taormina, if that's okay. Mr. Taormina, this new plan, will that, because the trash, the dumpster's always been just kind of sitting out in the middle of the parking lot. I frequent this gas station often, I get my monsters there, so I'm pretty excited about this gas station getting a renovation, because it's kind of small inside, actually really small inside. So I'm really excited about this investment, to my colleague Laura Toy's point. But one thing it's always kind of looked bad, the trash can just kind of sitting out there. So I was trying to look through the plans and having a difficult time understanding, is there going to be a trash dumpster enclosure back there now under the new guidelines, new plan?
Yes, the enclosed dumpster is shown in the southeast corner. I'm not sure its orientation is the best, but we might have to move that around a little bit to make it easier for the pickup service. But yes, that will be an added element to the site plan.
And that dumpster enclosure will be consistent, the building, the material on the actual dumpster enclosure will be consistent with the new material on the building?
Yeah, that's called out in the approving resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Termina, and thank you to the petitioner.
Thank you. I want to add one more thing. Regarding the storage, as presented in the plans, we didn't present it in the plans, but it was suggested in the previous meeting that we had here. If we need to add storage or build a shed, we will submit plans according to that to get that approved, because currently we don't have any storage. That's why we have the tires and some stuff out there. So if that's a recommendation, we are willing to do and go with it, as long as they approve it, as well as the landscaping plans. We will submit those within. We were trying to ask if you can approve us within 90 days instead of 60 days, because everything we're trying to do is taking a lot of time, because everyone tells you it's COVID, everybody's backed up. So that's the only thing I would like to add on.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Toy, before I go to Councilmember
Oh,
Jolly.
no, I was just gonna say, if she needs an amendment to that resolution, I would be happy to give the 90 days if, because I know what you're saying. Supplies are hard to get, blah, 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 and people are hard to get, so that's great.
If I could explain,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
if it's okay.
Oh, I can't call on you, she has to. Sorry.
Mr. Termina.
Yeah, so what she's referring to is the landscape plan. It just has to be submitted to us within 60 days.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be approved and installed within those 60 days. It's just getting the process started to review it. So there really isn't that added pressure of having to complete it within that time frame. And then the storage issue is something that was brought up in addition to the landscaping. Planning Commission noticed that there were some items being stored outside. They felt that if it was the desire of the petitioner to add some type of storage shed on the property, that they would consider reviewing that as part of, together with the landscape plan. They're not sure whether or not that's needed with their changing business model. It may be something that they don't do, but that's something that would have to come back for review as well.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may ask Mr. Termina, so then they have to come back again for the storage part of it as well?
Yeah, if it's a storage shed
Okay.
and the landscaping plan, we would review that together. The planning commission would. That's
So that'd be
correct.
like phase 2 then of their
It's a
property or
callback item
whatever?
is what, yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
okay.
So that means when we submit the landscape plans, we can submit the storage with it?
Sounds like it, can it?
That's correct.
Okay, we will
That's
plan
what
on
the planning
doing so.
commission is recommending.
Yeah,
But that needs a separate approval?
No, it's baked into the resolution.
Got it,
that you-
okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
So,
Councilmember Jolly?
thank you, Madam President. And so, you're investing a lot of money in this property, and we're thankful for that. It's, by all accounts, it's gonna look better. Until you say storage shed on a highly visible corner on the main drag in Livonia. We don't, I mean, Mr. Termina would know better than I would, but we don't typically allow storage sheds at facilities like this, do we?
It would, well, we're referring to it as a shed. It would more than likely be a small building on the property. And it may not even be something that they seek to do. The question came up because of some of the items being stored outside, so they would rather see those enclosed somehow. We don't know what that would look like. It was merely a suggestion by the planning commission that we would take a look at that as a separate element to this callback, the landscaping callback item.
Okay, so I appreciate that insight as well. When we are looking at a site plan such as this, I'm of the opinion that I would like it addressed all at once. Whether you call it a shed or an ancillary building on the property, I think that's kind of a deviation from how we've normally done things like this. And to be honest with you, having a secondary building on there is not something that's appealing to me. If you're gonna be, putting on an addition here, I would personally like to see it considered at the time of the new addition, so we can look at it as one package. I mean, honestly, like having a secondary building on a site that's as small as this for a gas station on Plymouth and I believe, what is it, Merriman?
Yes.
That's, I don't know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my personal opinion is that's a no-go. I mean, just to put it out there. I mean, that's such a deviation from how we've done things in the past. So I just want to put you on notice there that that's not something that I would be excited for. It's not something that I would be prone to vote in favor of. So thank you.
All right.
We will cooperate with what the city requires.
You putting it on the regular then?
It doesn't have to go on the regular because it's a waiver?
Well, now, because of the change, it doesn't sound like it's gonna be on the consent if Mr. Jolly wants to see the information
Well-
before he votes.
Well, no, because they have to come back if they want to put the additional building on the property.
Right. And that landscaping.
So that, I'm just telling you, like, if that's something you envision needing, I would rather see it addressed now as opposed to coming back in a secondary matter to put something.
That's something that we considered after the recommendations that we were given.
Right.
So if that's something that's gonna delay the process or deny a portion of it, or it's not gonna help, we will not move forward with that building, but with the landscaping for sure.
Okay. I'm just saying, when you come back and ask for an additional structure on the property, I'd probably be a no on that. I just want to let you know that right now.
Okay, we'll
you.
consider that. Thank you.
And would that be on the second, since there's not a time frame, Mr. Torina? For the second meeting in December?
I think that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so that'll be on our meeting of December 13th,
Okay, thank you so much.
not the first, right?
Yeah.
The first is the other meeting. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving,
The same
everyone.
to you. Thank you so much. Item number 13, this comes from the Planning Commission. Petition 2021-10-02-20 submitted by BBS Distilleries LLC requesting to utilize a small distiller license manufacture of no more than 60,000 gallons of spirits per year in connection with the operation of a distillery and tasting room at 27600 located on the north side of Schoolcraft Road between Inkster Road and Cardwell Avenue in the southeast quarter of Section 24. Mr. Taramina,
Thank you,
good
Madam
evening.
President. So this is a request for a the operation of a distiller's license at the Buckingham Village Shopping Center. This is at the northwest corner of Schoolcraft and Inkster Roads. This somewhat of a unique shopping complex. It's actually made up of several ownership units and businesses spread out over about 7.5 acres. Altogether, it's about 78,000 square feet. But on this parcel, what this tenant or this operator is looking at is a single space of about 2,800 square feet. It's a 28-foot wide unit. It lies immediately adjacent to Snooker's Pool and Pub. This is the former Subway sandwich shop, and what they would be operating is a distiller's license. They're a current Livonia operation. They have to move out of their facility, which is on Schoolcraft Road within the industrial district. As part of the move and transition, what they'd like to do is operate a tasting room as part of this. So the space would actually be divided into 3 different components. The front part of the building would be the tasting room with a maximum of about 40 seats. The middle section would be devoted to the prep and assembly area, bottling, as well as cold storage and restrooms. And then the rear portion would be the manufacturing operations for the distilling. Access and parking are shared between all of the businesses in this area. The Subway previously operated with about 30 seats. This is 10 more customer seats than what they had, but parking at the center is adequate or should be adequate. There is the separation requirement of 1,000 feet between on-premise liquor licenses. Because the Snookers is located adjacent to this business, proposed business, that is something that would have to be waived by city council. There are no churches or schools or other sensitive land uses within the 400-foot radius. There are no other exterior modifications proposed to the building other than signage. Planning Commission is recommending approval. The one stipulation they've added was a limitation on the hours of operation. Sundays through Thursdays between noon and 10 p.m. and then on the weekends, Friday and Saturday evenings, they would have to close by 11 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Councilmember Jolly.
So I think this is the kind of, I hate to say it, like niche business that we'd like to see that's kind of, you know, turning over some of these properties. It's unique, it's something that's gonna attract a different type of person to come into that particular strip mall. I know the Subway well from my high school days. We used to walk over there. So in my mind, I'm thinking of it as a smaller location. But if you think you can do what's described, I think that's great. I'm a little surprised to hear that you are an existing Livonia business. I wasn't aware that we had a business like this in Livonia. Can you tell us what specific products you make, / what are the brand names that we might see, where we could get the product? Can you give us a little bit of information in regards to that?
Yes, right now,
And could you just give us your name and address, please?
Jason Mitchell, it's 9919 Merriman Road, Livonia. Right now, we're producing mostly, it's a corn whiskey specialty spirit, we call it moonshine. Through the Leaky Still brand name. That seems to be popular right now, so that's what we're doing. We're also developing a few vodka spirits. We've got whiskey aging. We're also working on some gins as well to help round out what we're doing. And we've actually been manufacturing since last January. We've got all our approvals and everything. At that time, we were industrial, didn't need to seek city council approval. Yeah, we've been growing quite a bit, and it's kind of a twofold thing. We're a little bit growing out of our current facility. It's only 1,000 square feet. And we're also getting pushed out for other businesses that are willing to pay a little bit more on the rent than we are. So that's why we're kind of seeking this. We want to stay in Livonia. I've been working with a lot of Livonia businesses. We're trying to develop a couple different vodkas with like Chaps Feed and Authorized Bakery. And then we got a couple other ones that we're trying to get, like some of the more established businesses that are well known to be part of this as well, so we can actually come up with a brand we're looking at calling the Spirits of Livonia. And being able to produce that, you know, it might be only be a local thing right now. Locally, we're about 9 in Livonia liquor stores.
Something like that.
We're in 9 liquor stores in Livonia. We're a little over 200 in the state of Michigan.
Okay. And what are the brand names again? You said it real quick.
Leaky Still is our moonshine
Leaky
brand.
Stilt?
Leaky Still.
Still, okay.
Yep. And then we have a Monte Vista vodka coming out. That'll be out in January.
All right, well, I wish you the best. I'll offer an approving for the consent agenda. It sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
Can we put a waiver? Can a waiver go on the consent?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, would you like to? Do you want this on the first?
Yeah,
All right,
if you don't mind.
all right, Mark Zalinsik.
You beat me to it.
All right, Councilmember Donovan.
Thanks, Madam President. Yeah, this is pretty exciting, and it's cool to see this space reused as opposed to sitting vacant. I'm a little concerned, not with you, but that complex, that parking lot is driving. I mean, I've never seen a parking lot with holes. My Dodge Ram almost falls inside of those holes. So I'm hoping that you can, you know, work with the tenants nearby and the landlord. I know this property is interesting because they're sort of parceled out, or not parceled out, but multiple owners, I guess, or maybe it is parceled out. But I mean, that parking lot's horrible, and to see such an amazing development come through there and a repurposing of a Subway that was really convenient because I used to go there a lot when it shut down. But hats off to you. I do got a couple questions though. To Mr. Tormina, you mentioned the hours of operation. Are those hours of operation consistent with Snookers next door? Or are they limited hours compared to Snookers?
I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe their hours run later than this.
Okay. And was that okay with the petitioner? Were they asked to narrow their hours, or?
Yeah, we discussed it at the study in the regular meeting, and he's perfectly happy with those limited hours of operation. Is that?
And then to the north, if my orientation is correct, is that like an outdoor patio for the petitioner? Or it seems kind of like an outdoor patio of some sort, or maybe an enclosed patio, or?
On the front there, it's where the windows are.
Okay,
You know, it's kind of got like a 4-foot little atrium type of area. I mean, you could probably sit people in there, but it's like really tight. It's
pretty
more-
narrow, yeah. So then you'll actually have people directionally walking along the side of the building to get into to that little dining area?
They'll be coming right in the front from the parking lot into the tasting room area.
Okay, the tasting room, okay. Yeah, it was kind of confusing because you have a lot of the, in the middle there, I was trying to get an idea of
Yeah,
what
that's
that
the
layout
prep
was.
area where the old, coolers and everything were from the Subway. And then behind that, we'll have the bottling area, so that way it's sectioned off from everything. That's really the only place that we have, the alcohol open, exposed to air. So that way we can control fire and have proper ventilation there without doing the whole building.
Well, congratulations, wish you luck, and you'll probably see some of us there soon, so.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, and we'll put that on the first. All right, thank you very much, and we appreciate your desire to stay in Livonia, and nice to meet all of you tonight. Happy Thanksgiving. Item number 14, request to amend site plan petition. This comes to us from Kroger at Northridge Commons regarding petition 2021-07-08-04, requesting to amend site plan and conditions previously approved by the City Council on September 20th, 2021, to redevelop portions of the commercial shopping center Northridge Commons, including demolishing approximately 22,000 square feet of existing retail space, constructing in addition to the Kroger store, measuring approximately 28,500 square feet, as well as other facade and parking lot improvements at 33523 through 33751 8 Mile Road, located on the south side of 8 Mile Road between Farmington and Gill Roads, in the northeast quarter of Section 4. This was Council Resolution 289-21. Mark.
Thank you. This is a site plan amendment that's in connection with the recently approved expansion of the Kroger grocery store at the Northridge Common Shopping Center. It involves the relocation of one of the tenants, Scrappy Chick. And just to really cut to the chase, actually Scrappy Chick is located in the part of the building that is being demolished.
It's Scrappy Chic.
Scrappy is being relocated.
Although, we are not unfamiliar with Scrappy Chicks either.
Sorry, it's not my thing.
Mark, for the record, I didn't know any better either.
So the owners of the complex are trying to accommodate Scrappy Chic by finding a space for them. There is one space available.
good.
A little bit further to the east. Unfortunately, this space is a little bit smaller than what they would like to operate with. And to make up some of the difference, they're proposing a small expansion off the back of the shopping complex. That addition measures, I believe, 20 feet by roughly 50 feet. It would extend into the drive aisle, and in order to accommodate traffic at the rear of the property, some of the parking spaces would be removed. This was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting. It's been analyzed by the architect in terms of the turning dimensions and radius. The Planning Commission is recommending approval, and it would keep Scrappy Chic at Northridge Commons, which is the objective here.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This site is in need of some help. That Kroger store is a nice store, but it just needs to be updated, and I applaud the petitioner for bringing this forward and investing in our community. This is gonna looks like it's gonna be a great place to shop and attract great business over that way, and with, what is it, a nursing center's going over there, I think, in that one lot, so you'll have a lot of various things going on, and hopefully that'll fill up some of that empty space as well. So I want to ask for an approving, because I think they've done a terrific job, and I applaud them and wish them much success.
Right. Anyone else? Consent, Councilmember Toy?
Consent on December 22nd.
13th?
It's her birthday.
It's her birthday.
Oh, okay.
He wants it first. I don't, he does. He does.
Oh, my God.
I'll take the first.
He wants the first petitioner.
I know he
so,
does.
Yeah, okay, just. didn't
All
know if
right.
you heard him.
Was that for the first, or was that just Mr. Termina?
If it's okay, and the reason is because they are getting ready to start. This is a project that is on the cusp of commencing construction, so the sooner the better.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Mr. Termina.
All right, I would, the two gentlemen over there should probably steer clear of the law department for the next few weeks.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, thank you, and we're really excited about this project, and as a customer, I haven't been there in a while, but Scrappy Chic did a really nice job, and so it's great that we could find a way to keep them in that space, so thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye now.
All right, good night. Item number 15, proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances is amended. This comes from the Department of Law to repeal Chapter 10, Department of the Office of the City Council of Title II Administration Personnel, and amend Section 080, City Clerk Duties of Chapter 04, City Council of Title II Administration Personnel, to abolish the current administrator position in a standalone department and create an identical administrative position under the direction and supervision of the city clerk.
Good evening. This can go on too, by the way, on the second meeting. This is brought to council because council asked the question before and there was some conversation about changing the responsibilities of what is currently the position held by Sarah Kasperitz, to put it under the direction and leadership of the city clerk as opposed to the city council president. We've made a suggestion in this as a way to do it if council wants to do it that way. Currently, it's under its own, currently, Ms. Kasperitz is her own department. It's a one-person department that is under the direction and leadership of the city council president. And there was a question about whether or not it could be switched under the city clerk. We looked at it and took a look at the existing ordinance, which was under section 2.10, and it just didn't make any sense to keep it as an independent department, but have that department under the city clerk. So the suggestion that we had was abolishing section 2.10 altogether, repealing it altogether, just getting rid of the department as it sets. And then under the duties of the city clerk, under the section dealing with city council, we created a position of council office administrator. It is clear that under this position, as we drafted it, it would be a city council, it would be a civil service position that goes through the process of civil service hiring, as any other civil service position would. And at the time when the decision is made on who to hire, that decision would be made by whoever the council president is, if that position is open at that time. So the unusual twist in that is, although it goes through the civil service process, the selection, usually the rule of three, they give you three names, you interview them and you pick one, that wouldn't be picked by the clerk, it would be picked by the city council president for that position, but the position would remain a civil service position. And I think the thought also is that if we accomplished it this way, that way Ms. Kasperitz would have some backup from the city clerk's office should and when she need help, and if she takes a vacation or take a day off, there's actually people who could support her and help her under the direction of that. And it would also give the person somebody who could review their work and take care of different things like that. So that's the proposal we made based upon the suggestion of council wanting to make it put it under the clerk. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that.
Thank you. Councilmember Jolly?
Thank you, Madam President. So I agree for the need for this to not be a standalone department or a one-person shop. When I read the proposed language here, though, the part that I have questions about is where it says, this third sentence of 2.04.080, city clerk responsibilities. The position of council administrator is hereby created in the city clerk's office. The council administrator is assigned to the city council office and shall be subject to the direction and supervision of the city clerk. I think that also has to say, and the city council president. Because the way it reads
Yeah.
specifically says, the clerk can just say, don't listen to that person. I mean, to be quite honest with you, and it's not about me going into the position. I mean, this is a change that hopefully is codified and works and lasts going forward. It has to be in the ordinance that the person is to take direction from the city council president. Otherwise, to be quite honest with you, there doesn't need to be a person there at all.
No,
It just needs to be someone borrowed from the clerk's office.
I understand and I don't disagree with you. The thought that I had when I drafted it was the very last sentence where it says, and functions as required by the city council within the council office. That ended up that put it under the orders of the city council when performing the duties. That was my thought. I have no issue if council wants to add that language in there.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable with this. And again, it's specifically not because I have concerns in regards to current personnel or the current clerk or anybody who might hold those positions later on. I just think it needs to be clearly directed that this is a person who is residing under the clerk's office administratively, but is still taking direction from the city council office through the president, most likely.
Could I ask a question?
Please.
Would the wording be that you would like to see maybe say, and shall be subject to the supervision of the city clerk and under the direction of the council president?
I think that would be perfect. That would alleviate my concerns.
That's what I was going to suggest, because the intent here was to not have the city council president as a part-time person responsible for the administrative portion of supervisory work, but the direction is at the direction of the council president. So I think that, to me, that achieves what we were trying to do here. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. To my colleague, Mr. Jolly, I absolutely agree with his language. I'm a little torn on this issue. However, I understand the need for it from our council president. I understand through some changes over the course of the last year, just trying to iron out the details here. So I think this move does make sense, but there are some concerns. So for the record, if this was to pass, the clerk would not could not reprimand the council administrator. That would have to go through the council president.
No.
No.
It would be the civil, under the supervision of the clerk, so that it would be as if she were a clerk employee of the city clerk's office. But the direction that the person would take on what to do would come from the council president. But if there was a problem and there needed to be discipline or supervision, or a congratulations and possible promotion and raise, that would go through the clerk's office at the request of the council president. The council president would, for instance, say, the person's doing a marvelous job, we want to have a raise for that person, we think they're worthy of a raise. And then the clerk's office would still go through the clerk's office and the civil service. If, for instance, the council president thought the person was doing a job that was substandard and needed to be disciplined or retrained, the council president would contact the clerk who would be responsible for that issue. But it's kind of a split hybrid situation, which is an unusual situation.
So long as the language is clear, because years from now, this council will be gone and this clerk will be gone, and Mr. Bernier, you may still be here, who knows? But I want to make sure that the language is concise, because I don't want an issue 15 years from now where, for example, you do have a clerk and a council president that may be at odds, and they hold for lack of a better term, the council administrator at hostage, so to speak. So
Well,
I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen, because speaking to some of my colleagues, we are worried about giving away power, so to speak. So
Yeah.
my intention is to make sure that the council president holds all that authority, because they are the council president. They were elected by the people. So
Yeah,
thanks, Mr.
one-
Bernier.
one of the one of our thought process in making it very clear that it was a civil service position was the fact that even if we had a clerk that wasn't as nice as the current clerk, is that person would still have to go through discipline through the civil service process anyway, which obviously you can't just randomly discipline people because of it. So the thought was, by putting it explicitly under the civil service, you eliminate some of those issues.
Thank you, Mr. Bernier.
Madam Chair.
Just a minute, Councilmember Jolly and then Councilmember Toy.
I'll just say, you know, for the record too, this, with the change in language that we just discussed, I mean, I think this really is, you know, to the council presidents, you know, congratulations here on this move. This does leave the office in a better position. It realistically does, and I appreciate that. The thing that scares me and the reason why I bring this up, as we heard from the council president in regards to the extra workload of being council president, the premise of not having someone to direct/assist in that process is why I asked for this language to be clarified. So, thank you. But I think it's a great, absolutely great move. I'm looking forward to work with Sarah and have her teach me the job and the ways that I need to accomplish it and the lessons learned, but I just, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No big secret. I'm not real thrilled on this whole process that we're now talking about, particularly as it relates to hiring somebody else, if I'm hearing this correctly. I think that's a sad thing. We do have Marilyn in the zoning board. She was always part of the council office and was supposed to be part of the council
She still
office
is.
as well. Okay, but obviously, it sounds like there's just too much work for anybody to handle poor Sarah here. Because, and I don't want to get personal or anything, but in all honesty, what is so hard about it? That's what I don't get. And if we had a problem, even in the legislature, it went to the law department for even discipline or any corrections that needed to go on under that. I have a real problem with the clerk, an elected clerk, being supervising over the council office or a person in the council office. I really do. I beg of that on transparency and accountability, and we never know what we're gonna get as the future rolls on. Somebody had said tonight, we're gonna have a hard time finding people to run for these offices, and with some of the issues we face, and I just think we better be careful what we're doing here. Once you give something up, an elected service, whether it's positions or people or salaries or whatever, you can never get it back. People will think you can, but I really will caution this council on anything that they're doing in regards to this. I think the council president is perfectly capable. We're gonna pay them a bit more to call the office, make sure what's going on. Sarah's been doing a great job in many respects, and if she has a problem, I think she'll reach out. But to put another body into the council office again, that's just silly to me.
Madam President,
Thank you.
Please, Vice President Barr.
I'm just going to be candid. I'm not even sure how to unpack all that. There's nobody new being hired here. There's no change in the number of, Councilwoman Toy, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit flabbergasted at whatever you just said, because I can't make sense of it. And let me just say this. I'm as concerned as anybody about the checks and balances that Councilwoman Toy is talking about. Some history here. For this history of the city of Livonia, this office was appointed by the mayor's office. It was a year ago, you said we can never get it back. It was a year ago that we made an ordinance change in order to create this situation. In the 12 months of practicing this out, Sarah is doing an excellent job. It has nothing to do with anybody trying to handle Sarah. It simply comes to the fact that the supervisory duties of any job are part, as Councilman Jolly alluded to, are part of full-time work. We are not a full-time body. And while a year ago we thought it was important, and I think this gets to your concern, Councilman Toy, while a year ago while we thought it was important that that the mayor not be appointing that position for a number of reasons. Forget names and all that. Going forward, for that the mayor, there were a number of reasons why it didn't make sense for the mayor to be appointing that position. And so we reorganized some things. One of the things we ran into in practice was the fact that we had a part-time position trying to do elements of a full-time job. I think the solution that's been put forth here comes out of a year of learning, still accomplishes our original objectives from a year ago, but is actually a very, and I thank Councilman Jolly for starting this conversation, because I think the language change that's coming out of this is a really positive change. And I think we have here actually a very elegant solution in order to meet the objectives that we set out a year ago and keep the very sense of checks and balances that Councilman Toy is advocating for. This has nothing to do with performance problems, none of that. This has to do with structuring and organization so it works for the long term. That's it. And I fully support this.
Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm in agreement with Councilwoman Toy. I look at this and, we might be in a part-time role, but we also have great responsibility to the citizens and overall an elected body. I don't think the answer is to give this position up to an elected body, whether it be the clerk or even a treasurer or even the mayor's office. I think it should stay with the council. And I think it should be the accountability of the council president to manage this position. And it should stay within the city council office. I have nothing against the city clerk's office, but going forward, this is a permanent position. And obviously elections happen and things go. And I'm not saying that there's anything or saying that there's any collusion or any of that kind of jazz. I just think that council is the legislative branch of this city. There's an executive, and we should maintain that full-time position under the control of the council president that's elected by the people. So I will not be in support of this.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Jolly.
So just to respond to the concerns that have been raised here, listen, how are we supposed to effectively provide a good workplace for somebody who does not have the ability to have coverage, whether for a lunch hour or vacation time? If there's an increase in workload where assistance is requested, there will be an administrative support structure to request additional work. And you know what? If there's a point in time when this particular person has nothing to do in theory, they could assist in other activities in City Hall where necessary. I think it's an efficient, well-crafted response, to be quite honest with you. And I guess from my perspective, being used to the very capable Judy filling this role, she was not at the direction of the council president before. She worked closely with the council president, but was directly appointed by the mayor. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, I don't want to speak for Judy, but when somebody appoints you, your loyalties would naturally lie with that person. So I mean, this is like, it's a very delicate response to a problem, and I think it sufficiently meets the need. And I'm happy to support it. I don't think it's a dereliction of duties, of responsibility, or anything like that. I think it's quite the opposite. I think it's humane, and it works well to create, it works well to create a workplace where somebody would want this job. And we'll be able to reach out for assistance and, and be treated appropriately like other employees within City Hall. And I guess just to point this out as well, if the person was on vacation for 2 weeks, the clerk's office may well be able to, and I suspect that they would, put somebody in the seat to answer the phone and make sure the council office was functioning in the meantime as well. Absent this change, I don't see that happens. So thank you very much. I support it.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. To Mr. Bernier, so just to be clear, sir, again, the council president will still have full power and control over the council administrator and have full autonomy to do with the council administrator as they sort of please.
For the direction of the direction of the work, absolutely. That's why we were very specific in trying to put in there what the duties of the position actually are. So it couldn't be said later that the clerk said, okay, well, the duties are that you're working on an election, for instance. That the duties are in the council's office for that position. So that that's the reason we tried to put in specific duties to answer the question that you're asking right now. That position would be assigned. It's a position by ordinance that is assigned to the council's office, selected by the council president, but under the supervision of the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Brunner.
Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam President. I always thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Marilyn would take and come up to the office if Sarah or whoever was in that position was absent. That's the way it was always explained to me, regardless if Judy was there or not, or Sarah's there or not, it would be Marilyn coming in from our zoning board because she falls under the council office, unless that's been changed and I'm unaware of it. And therefore, there would be a body when Sarah would have other duties or something where she was absent, et cetera. That, maybe that's changed, but that's the way I always understood it. Perhaps it hasn't been used, quite frankly. I don't know, but I'm remembering from past times. Maybe I'm being old school here, but in all seriousness, that's what I recall, so that we didn't have to hire anyone else. And because at one time, we had Tony, if you recall, who was part-time. And then when Tony left, we didn't replace her. I was president then, and we felt there wasn't a need, there wasn't that much work anymore with the advent of the computer and all the paperwork that didn't need to be done anymore. We made those changes then. So I'm just recalling some of that history as to how we got to this point, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I'd like to address the number of things that have been said this evening.
You might want to pass a gavel, Madam Chair.
It's a study meeting. Okay. I will pass, may I please pass the gavel then to Vice President Barr? Thank you, and I appreciate everyone's comments and everyone's concern on this. The overriding, first of all, let's back up. To the points that have been made, for as long as any of us can remember, and if somebody remembers longer, then tell me how it worked. This was an appointment of the mayor's office. And we recognized there was an inherent conflict between having the person that worked for the city council report to the mayor. And there were some times that last year we saw conflicts, and Judy was put in a difficult position. And it wasn't fair to Judy to have those, be working for the council president, but expect to have loyalties to the mayor because it was an appointed position. And we worked extremely hard. And I got a lot of help from Vice President Barr on this. And Kathy White, as a former city attorney, helped us. And it was a tremendous amount of work for a number of months to figure out how to split those off. We were lucky enough to have LaShawn hired by the mayor as the director of governmental affairs. We were able to set the governmental affairs department up, and we figured out a way to split off the council office so you didn't have the person in that position having one boss but expecting to have loyalties to a person to whom they owed their job. When we did that, and Maryland, the mayor wanted Maryland's job moved over to the council office, and that's what we did. We have half of Maryland's head, and inspection has half of Maryland's head. I hate to talk about people that way, but in the budget, okay?
Okay.
Maryland sits in the council office full-time and is available to Sarah as available. Maryland has zoning board responsibilities. We've had personnel situations this year due to health issues that have revealed how difficult it is to have this office as a standalone office with no backup and no full-time department head. The council president does not, and the mayor can make a change of this, has not for the last 2 years functioned as a member of the leadership staff. So Sarah has been working without having access to someone who's part of the leadership staff and there to provide day-to-day direction, and when there are issues with other departments, to get involved as necessary to sort out how things work out between the council and other departments. We asked the law department to figure out a way to administrate, to move this position, and we try not to use names, sorry, but to move this position administratively to the clerk's office so that you wouldn't have a city council president who by definition has a part-time job that is extremely busy with substantive legislative council business issues dealing with the administrative burden of personnel administration. And the clerk was amenable to taking this on. This is additional work for the clerk, but it gives the person in the position of the manager of the city council office support of a full-time, full-fledged department head, someone who's a member of the leadership team, but the position remains fully under the direction of the city council and the city council president. And there's no giving away of power. And remember, this is an ordinance change. So if a future city council says, we did an ordinance change a year and a half ago to get a solution. We got a solution and 80% of it worked. And we said this needs some fine tuning. So we have another ordinance. Anything that's done by an ordinance can be undone by an ordinance. So if a future city council, if the next city council, beginning on January 1st, doesn't like this, it's an ordinance change. They can ask law. Law will be happy, I know, to spend another 100 hours trying to figure out how to do this, but they can change it. So there is no ceding of power. There is no lack of transparency from my perspective. What's here reflects what we've learned, and quite frankly, that I and Mr. Barr have been in the I don't want to say the crosshairs because that sounds dramatic, but what we've worked through trying to fine tune this, and that's what this represents.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilwoman White.
I just want to go on record that I fully support this change. Having worked in the background of the process here to try to accomplish this change, I think it makes a lot of sense for the city. And when you look at the duties of the council office administrator, and you're thinking about this person, having to be away from the office for whatever reason, vacation or illness or whatever, the duties that are listed here gel much more with the duties of the clerk's office than they do with a person from the zoning board of appeals. It just makes a lot of sense from an administrative standpoint, a personnel standpoint, and I agree with the statements that have been made that this is not giving away any power that lies with the city council and the council president. It just, to me, it makes a lot of sense. So those are my thoughts on it. Thank you.
President McIntyre.
And I neglected to say, no one could have come into this job, and we try to avoid names, but no one could have come into this job following someone who had been there for a very, very long time and had, ways of doing things that were outstanding, but it was a, very certain way of doing things, could have come in and performed, I don't think, as Sarah had, took on an, employee. We moved the zoning board administrator over. There have been tremendous amounts of challenges in the last year and a half that Sarah has risen to. And not only that, Sarah's an absolute joy to work with. I know we're not supposed to talk about names, but it's not fair when Sarah has a full-time demanding job covering all sorts of real estate, and she needs to get a hold of her administrative boss, which is the council president. And again, by definition, we have full-time jobs. And I do my best, I do my level best to get back to Sarah, as quickly as I can. But there are times that she's disadvantaged, and the council office is disadvantaged by not having an administrative manager available on a full-time basis. So that's the intent here. And, that's the entire intent of this.
Any other comments? I believe we have no, you're good.
If we don't have an approving, I'll offer an approving.
I was just going to say, we had an approving, right?
Okay.
I think it's clear it's not going to be for
Disregard
consent.
Well, it'd be a first reading anyway.
Oh, that's right, it's an ordinance, so, okay.
Is that on the 13th or the 1st?
Where the law department's happy happened on the second date, which would be the 13th.
Okay, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good for this item.
I would ask for that to be on the regular, please.
We just said that, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Would you just like to continue?
well, Council President McIntyre has asked if I'd like to continue, and I do have to say that, yeah.
You know what, I'm just thinking out loud. this might be one you want to put on the first, because we're going to have a different
Second.
council.
That's true.
That's exactly what I was thinking,
So
Paul.
we have two
and-
meetings on the 1st and the 13th, that way this council will make the decision, as opposed to having a split council where we might have to
Let's-
start over.
Let's put it on the first. Council President McIntyre asked if I wanted to finish the meeting, and I just point out that we've talked about this before with the whole pandemic thing, with all of us doing this remotely. I told her, I said, I kind of got cheated out of the vice chairman thing a little bit. So I also told her I didn't want her faking anything to give me control of a meeting, but I don't know if she's doing that now.
No, I'm not. I'm just,
But sure, I'll go ahead,
Out.
I'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead and finish out the meeting. Let's see, that was item number 15, so we are ready for item number 16, a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances from the Department of Law to amend Chapter 542, Section 010, to comport with the Livonia Vision 21 zoning ordinance, and I'm only laughing because things I want to say about this. Am I passing that?
you can pass it to Toy.
Any,
I have to admit to taking a certain amount of glee when I saw the gavel being cast on this issue.
so I guess Department of Law, Paul, you want to introduce this one for us?
Sure, certainly. This is the never-ending short-term rentals issue that we have. As council is aware, council changed the zoning ordinance in the Livonia Vision 21 zoning ordinance recently. When we took a look at the zoning ordinance and compared it to the code of ordinances as it pertains to short-term rentals, we saw that some of the definitions and some of the issues they didn't mesh up properly, and there may have been some conflicts. And Council Vice President Barr, I think it was, suggested that we take a look at it and amend the code of ordinances so that it's consistent with the zoning ordinance. As council is aware, it's much more tedious to change the zoning ordinance than it is the code of ordinances. So the purpose behind this was to try to have the definitional sections correspond in the code of ordinances and the zoning ordinance as it pertains to short-term rentals, without changing the substantive law of what is and isn't allowed in Livonia as of today. And I say it that way because we don't know what the state Senate's going to do. This council is aware that the House passed a bill which would probably make most of this moot. And it's in front of the Senate, and nobody knows when and if the Senate's going to do anything. So we're in that kind of a catch-22. They could come tomorrow night in the middle of the night and do it, or they may not do it at all. We simply don't know what the Senate's going to do. But this is designed to try to make our code of ordinance correspond to the Livonia Vision 21. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any council comments?
I'll offer approving to move forward for putting this on the next, whatever meeting you want to put it on, for first reading.
Be the first, I assume?
It would be,
Same reason as the last.
unfortunately, it'd be the first reading if it's going to be, because it's, have to be in that first meeting.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we have a resolution for the first, and we'll move on to item number 17, request to amend Council Resolution 224-21, Board of Trustees Livonia Employees Retirement System. This is for Council President McIntyre to replace Council Member.
Toy.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading this, but it was different than I remembered it being, so I was second guessing what I was reading. I'll just trust it. Council President McIntyre to replace Councilmember Toy. Regarding to replace Councilmember Toy with Council President McIntyre as the council representative on the employees' retirement system.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to offer approving for consent. I think the council president is well-suited to take on this role. She has a background in finance, and more important than that even, she has an interest and a desire to serve in this role. Having served there, I think she'll do well, and I had an opportunity to talk to her about, her doing so and filling this role, and I'm happy to have her and support her doing that into the next council term. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jolly, anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Council President McIntyre and then Councilwoman Toy. Or you said, okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Toy.
Oh, thank you. Okay. No, I found a conflict in my service for that position, and I appreciate the council appointing me to it, but I think, as was said, Kathleen, or Council President McIntyre, will do a great job on the particular board. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
President McIntyre.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you to Council President-elect Jolly for offering me the opportunity to continue to do this, especially since we're going through the trouble of changing the resolution. Keeps the law from having to do another resolution in January. I think the next meeting is the 14th of the
Pension board?
pension board, so I think we could put this, Sarah, could you confirm, please, tomorrow, that the next pension board is the 14th? So this could go on the 13th?
Great.
And then I can vote on the meeting at the 14th. Thank you, but I do appreciate this. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Council
Okay, not seeing.
President-elect Jolly.
Okay, that completes our agenda. Anyone else from the audience wanting to speak on anything not related to the agenda? Going once, going twice. And so I guess that closes our meeting at, and I'll pound the gavel because I can,
Yeah, we're adjourned.
at 9:15.